Spurs fans, the NBA has released a partial schedule for our San Antonio Spurs, and I do not like what I'm seeing. What is up, San Antonio Spurs fans? Welcome to TSR Sports. Hope you're having a great summer. And for the record, the title of the video does not apply to everyone, especially those of you that watch the Spurs outside the United States. But Spurs fans, myself included, this year is likely to be worse than last year when it comes to trying to watch our San Antonio Spurs. Let me get to Exhibit A, I guess we'll call it. There's our partial schedule at the time of this video. We have 8 games announced. Hey, Lakers, OKC to start, the Knicks again on Christmas. Okay, what's your problem, TSR? When you look at those 8 games, 3 of them are on Prime, 2 on NBC, 2 on ESPN, ABC is there too. 1 game against the Sacramento Kings on the NBA League Pass. And I, like many of you watching the Spurs, need the League Pass. From what you've even told, what some of you've told me, those of you that live in Texas, especially San Antonio, you can't even watch our Spurs on local TV when they're on Prime, Peacock, etc. And this brings me to the point of where we, as Spurs fans, are screwed. And not just Spurs fans. This obviously applies to just about every team in the NBA, unless you're on the bottom of the standings. You're not getting much televised games. But this does apply to a lot of fans. And there was that time we were excited to be televised a little bit on TV. But my thoughts on that are changing. The Spurs are popular, exciting, fun. And we see something that we haven't seen, definitely not in the lifetime of this channel. There's bandwagon fans. Not saying that's a bad thing, but people are jumping on board because the Spurs are good. There's bandwagon content creators, and this isn't just pointing at YouTubers that might be doing that, but social media in general. ESPN, the big boys, they are covering the Spurs like I've never seen them ever covered before. A big part of that is the gentleman right in the middle of the thumbnail there, but there's more coverage than ever. And due to this incredible increase in popularity, I predict we'll have about, the schedule's not out yet at the time of the video, I'm going to say roughly 40 televised games for this coming season, which means multiple apps. You'll need ESPN. I got to get YouTube TV Sports or Sling Orange or something to watch ESPN. You're going to have Amazon Prime, as we already saw. Peacock's not on the schedule yet. I would not be shocked if there's 1 Peacock game a month. So then you have to get Peacock to watch the entire season. 1 freaking game a month. It sounds horrible saying it, but I could see them doing that. And then you got your networks, NBC, ABC, which not all of us can pick up over the air. I get NBC. I can't pick up ABC. Well, my point is, we're just going to need more and more and more apps. I won't be shocked if Apple TV gets on there at some point. Maybe Netflix, because what's that do? It generates money for the NBA. And I get making money, but there's a point where you cross the line of making money and just screwing your fan base. And I've been outspoken about this for really about a year since these with the new TV deal for the NBA, just seeing more and more and more locations where you have to watch your favorite team, whether it's the Spurs or somebody else. And I hate the direction this has been going, and I fear it's only going to get worse before it gets better. I know there's somebody in Congress that's fighting against this, and maybe they'll win the battle, maybe not. I imagine that's not going to happen overnight, so we're going to have another season of watching our Spurs, possibly on a different channel or app, every single game. Now, those of you that I mentioned earlier that outside the United States, from what I understand, and this is what drives me crazy, not for you guys, but for us in America, is that if you left the United States and you have the NBA League Pass, every game is available to you. Why don't you listen? Hear that again, Spurs fans, those of you that are in the United States. For our friends that are Spurs fans outside the U.S., maybe in France or Australia or wherever it may be, I've been told by our foreign viewers that they can watch every Spurs game on League Pass. I buy League Pass. I'm sure some of those of you watching buy the League Pass. I cannot watch every game at all. Nowhere near. It's just going to get worse moving forward, which means the cost is going to go up for you. The cost is going to go up for me. Unless you're borrowing, we'll be very polite, and borrowing the games. I absolutely can't stand this direction. And with our guys being, and I am very happy the Spurs are enjoying success. Let's not look at it like I'm like, oh, I wish nobody's watching the Spurs anymore. Nobody covered. No, it's not like that. But they're turning into, it's a business, but more so than ever, they're going to be dollar signs for the NBA, which means more televised games, which means when you buy the NBA League Pass, when the Spurs sucked, pardon my French, those of you that were watching in 2020, 21, 22, 28, even Wemby's rookie year, I think we had 5 or less televised games. The NBA League Pass, I was like, man, I'm buying the NBA League Pass for X amount of dollars, and I'm going to get 75 plus Spurs games? All right, sounds good. Plus the rest of the league, which I barely watch. Russell Westbrook retired, by the way, if you haven't caught the news. Anyway, now it's going to get to the point where I'm buying NBA League Pass for the same price, but I'm going to be getting substantially less out of it if the Spurs have 25, 30, 40 televised games. I don't know what the NBA is going to do. I'll probably do reactions to the schedule whenever it comes out. But I got to say, if the NBA keeps heading in this direction, especially if they add more apps, if they start doing deals, and I don't know how this work with the current deal they have, if they can amend it, or I don't know. There's a certain amount of games that are available to be sold. I don't know. But if they start adding different apps like Apple TV or Netflix or whatever the heck else is out there that I can't think of at the top of my head, it may come to the point that even TSR doesn't want to pay to watch anymore. As much as I love our team and I've enjoyed covering the team now, we're 7 plus years with TSR Sports, at some point you have to stop and say, you know what? It's not worth it anymore. I don't want to pay, I don't know, I'm guessing all the couple $100. So is it going to get to the point where it costs $1,000 a year to watch your team on TV? Could we get to that point? That's crazy. It's not even talking about the playoffs. Let's not forget the playoffs jumped around too, which was exceedingly annoying. Remember the days, the good old days, for those of you who have been watching long enough, basketball back in the 90s, 2000s, before we had a zillion streaming apps where you could watch an entire playoff series, maybe your team's entire playoff run, on one channel. As much as we've all complained about how expensive cable has, not you particularly, but people in general, cable's so expensive, I hate the cost of cable. At least with cable, I needed one thing to watch everything. And now all these apps that were supposed to save us money and make us get rid of cable are now costing more because we need more of them, which is totally totally what the goal of having streaming apps was not to be, right? Wasn't it, I'm going to save money, I'm going to cut the cord and not have cable. Seriously, at this point, I might want to bring cable back. Well, can we see cable make a huge comeback in the next couple of years? I don't know. So I'm starting to ramble a little bit. Your thoughts on what I went over today. Do you fear what I do as somebody that buys League Pass or maybe lives in San Antonio and the games are blacked out because of Prime games and games on Peacock or whatever? Are you kind of happy for our team and excited for next season, but when you also sit back and look at the schedule, you're thinking, what the heck? Are we doing this again? And is it going to get worse? I think so. Hit the thumbs up, enjoy the video, and actually, we have fallen out of the algorithm real quick. I'll close up. A lot of you have been saying you haven't been getting notifications anymore. I think it's because I haven't been doing content lately, and we got to try to climb back into the algorithm. So if you could like, comment, share, subscribe. Of course, if you're not subscribed, that'd be great. That's all I got. Thank you, and as always, go Spurs go.